Hey guys, it's Rachel. It is Thankful Thursday, and as always, you've got me, and you've got Cal this week. This is the last week of the rota that Ariel has done for us. So starting next week, there'll be a new rota. And this week is all about teaching from personal experience. The topic will be the same basically for every day and for each of us. So if we manage to get 2 videos up a day, hopefully you're going to have quite a little collection there. And Ariel wanted us to all address the same thing, which was 3 most important things you've learned in recovery, the hardest thing you've had to overcome, and 1 message you'd like to tell them about recovery and why it's worth it. I kind of really like this idea as well, this whole teaching from personal experience, and I know that there's quite a number of us who are in recovery and who would very much like to work in the field of mental health, whether it's mental health nursing, psychiatry, therapy, a nutritionist, occupational health, social worker, a whole array of stuff that goes on. And I really think that when you've got somebody who's had a personal experience, it's really helpful to hear from them, because it's not just from somebody who, there's some amazing doctors there are out there, but I always think that in the words of others who've been there, in this idea of it's a lived experience. Okay, so 3 important things that I have learned in therapy. In recovery, rather. Okay, I guess the first one has to be about my friends and family. What I have learned in my recovery is that you find out who your real friends are, and you develop friendships based on trust, mutual understanding. I'm thinking now of my best friend who has had struggles with an eating disorder and such as well, and who is now in recovery. So I'm thinking this concept of kind of trust. It's about knowing and believing what they're saying to you isn't about them being critical, that it's about them caring. If they show concern for you, it isn't something you need to be frustrated with. So I guess that's one of the main things I've learned in recovery, is to do with trust. And I've known some of my oldest friends since I was 3 years of age. I'm going to be 30 next year. They're long friendships. They struggled when I was ill because I pushed everyone away, but I got back in touch. I, connected with those girls again, and that's been amazing. And I also have the most amazing relationship with my family. My brother is like my best friend. My mum is just my world. And as difficult as things have been with both my parents, with my mum and my dad, there's been a lot of issues there that I've needed to deal with in therapy. I now have the relationship I always wanted with them, well, certainly I've always wanted as an adult and as a young woman, and I'm treated, still live at home, I'm treated as a young woman, I'm respected, I'm given my own space, I'm not criticised, and the relationship I have is just kind of this really nice and easy place to be and to live at home. It is just wonderful in that. So that's my first thing, which is to do with trust. And I know I'm going to have to speed this up because I just keep rambling. So first one is trust. The second one is I only have myself. And that doesn't mean that I'm isolated. It doesn't mean that I'm an island, as he says in About a Boy. It means that I've realised that I only have myself. And in the words of well, they're not Ariel's words, maybe they are, I'm not sure, maybe she gets it from somewhere, but don't compromise yourself, you're all you've got. And it's taken me a fucking long time to realise that, and it's taken a long time for me to realise my worth. So I'm now aware of my worth and the fact that I do matter, and that I do deserve good things, and that hasn't been easy to come by. But I do now believe that. So the first is trust. The second one is self-belief. And the third one has to be about life being too short and about life being a gift, something that I'm blessed with. And although I don't think it's helpful to make comparisons with those who are less privileged than myself, but I do recognise how privileged I am. I do realise that I have a roof over my head. I have a family who love me. I've been able to study. I've been able to not work and continue to study, or to just pursue some of my passions, photography or whatever. I've learnt to appreciate what really matters, and as much as I love clothes, as much as I love shoes, and as much as I love some of those material things, I now know that what I have is enough. And that's been evident in the sense that I did used to, for the most part, compulsively shop. And I wanted things because I wanted to feel better, and I've now realised that the only person who can make me feel better is me. So I've got the three important things I've learned. The first one is trust. The second one is self-belief. And the third one is about life being too short, recognising, what I do have rather than what I don't have. The second question is, talk about the hardest thing you've had to overcome. I guess it would be completely obvious to say, well, I've had to overcome my past. I've had to overcome my past, not only with regards to the difficult relationships I had growing up, or with the difficulties I had as a gymnast with regards to that being quite an abusive environment, or to do with struggling with a kind of childhood depression, and engaging in quite destructive behaviours there. Obviously overcoming my anorexia and the depression and all the borderline traits that I exhibited, when I was really ill. I've had to overcome that. I've had to overcome the fact that I was in an incredibly abusive relationship that was physically, sexually and emotionally abusive. And after being ill for a very long time, I've had to overcome that, really. I've had to overcome how the trauma that's been left with me when I saw, now I can see what I did to myself, and I think, Jesus, how did I look at my arms, and I'm not, this isn't to trigger anyone, but I've got scars all here, all down my arm, all down this arm, all down my legs, under my breast, and I just think, that's traumatic, not only when you're going through it, but afterwards, to see that, to be witness to that, to bear witness to the fact you tried to end your life on more than one occasion. So overcoming all of that with my past has been incredibly difficult. It's been incredibly difficult to deal with my future, to, not keep one foot, they used to always say when I was in the hospital, put one foot in the past, the other foot in the future, and you're just going to piss all over the present, and there's a lot to be said about that. So if I had to overcome my past, I've had to accept that this is where I am in my present, and this is what I need to do to stay well, to get well, to go back to university, to study, to accept that I'm still at home when I'm nearly 30 because I had, so much taken from me when I was ill. And I've had to overcome the past, the present and the future, that fear of the future, that fear of the unknown, the fear of not knowing what could happen in the next 5 minutes, the next 50 minutes, the next 5 hours, the next 5 days, the next 5 weeks. You can't control that. And they're the hardest things I've had to overcome, are dealing with, basically living in the present and dealing with my past and not letting that overtake me, and not being so scared about the future that I stay stuck. So that's the hardest thing. And one message I'd like to tell our viewers about recovery and why it's worth it: look at us girls on this channel, and that is why it's worth it. And that is my message, that you've witnessed all of us, some of us who've been here for well over a year and a half, if not longer. You've seen what is possible. You've seen what is possible. You've witnessed it, and there's no way you can deny that. You could deny that for yourself, but you've witnessed us. You've seen us get well. You've seen me get well, and that's my biggest message. We are an example of what is possible, and that has to be my biggest message, because what else do I have other than my lived self to say, this is why you can recover, and this is why you should recover, and why it's worth it. Again, witness how I live my life, how other members here would live their lives. I'm free. I have a choice. I have a voice. I can get up when I want. I can do what I want. I can live the life I want because it's my life. And that doesn't mean I fuck up everything and piss on people and treat them like shit. It's not that. I am in control, so I don't need to constrain my body. I don't need to starve myself till I don't feel. I don't need to become less of a person so that I fit. I am good enough. And that is why it's worth it, because you realise that you're good enough. Okay guys, I'll see you next week. Okay, bye.